where 80–90% of our students come from, and that is Wes Kain. And I came to know Wes at various events that I went to, and just always super friendly. I learned more about his history and building, speaking. But you know what? When you really get to know somebody, you see how they interact with others. And what I love about On Track is that we're more than a school. We're a community. We're a culture. Our kids feel like they belong somewhere and they love it. And hey, listen, it's really difficult to make school cool. And I think we've done a really good job of that. And our kids have gone on to become airline pilots and community workers and firefighters, and they drive jet planes and they flip, into foam pits. I know you know who I'm talking about. And they race cars and all kinds of things. And so, Wes, what I really have enjoyed most about learning about you, regardless of all the accolades that are out there, because there's many, is no matter what event that we're at, Wes knows people. He knows who they are, what they've done, and he acknowledges this relationship that he has with them, and he believes in them, and he inspires them. And so some of our On Track students have requested Wes, and I was so excited about that because I've actually interviewed with Wes many times. So people, we welcome Wes Kain here with us tonight, and he's going to share his story. We're going to have an opportunity to converse, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So Wes, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Quite an honor a part of this, and be part of On Track School and be supportive, and see the ones help all through the time. I can remember when I first met you, come to the podium. I mean, you come up in an announce hour, and I knew exactly what we needed to do. We needed to pump On Track School. So no matter what was going on, who else was in there, we were going to take time to make sure that your message got across to everybody out there that this was important, and this was a much needed schooling opportunity for some of these children to be able to go to school and get their learning. I believe one time me and Kevin Keller were on our way up to Loretta Lynn's, and we stopped into the store and we bought a fake watch. It was one of those. It was his last year at Loretta's, and we told him if he won, we were going to ice him down. And Trey was somebody that graduated, I do believe, from On Track School, and it was something that we said that no matter what he did, he got his education. So one thing I do thrive on, you can be as rich as you can no matter what you're doing. If you don't have any smarts or know what you're doing, you got to be a smart businessman. Like Travis Pastrana, he's worth $40 million, or Ryan Dungey. If they don't have education and know what to do with their money, then they're going to squander it away. They're not going to make smart investments. They're not going to make smart moves. So I don't care what you're doing. Education comes first. Whether it's a lot of people still can. I don't know if you can do what we're doing now and go to a public school. It's going to be hard with the scheduling and the training that you have to do, because of a rider is at a training facility 8 hours a day getting training versus somebody who goes to a regular school and he only gets an hour. You're going to fall behind. So On Track School is probably one of the best opportunities for riders, athletes, whatever you're doing, racing cars, who knows what you're doing. But On Track School gives you an opportunity to get educated and still pursue your dreams.
When we were interviewing Wes, and the guys in the tower would say, oh yeah, Wes Kain should go to On Track School and he should do this and that. Well, you know what? You are educated. So I want to hear more about your story though, and how you got to where you are, because you've got all these things going on. And so where did this drive come from? Because I want our students to know you got to work for it, right? And where does that come from? I know a lot of our families, or a lot of our parents, you take the Cochrans, you take the Renfros, you take the Liebs, these families have a work ethic. You have a work ethic. How do we translate that to our kids, right?
Well, I believe in if you have a dream, and if you dream it, you can achieve it. My dad took me out of my mom and dad, got divorced early on, but I was fortunate enough to have a great stepdad. He taught me how to work. He taught me, and not saying my dad was great. He had a motorcycle shop for 40 years. I mean, and that's where I got the lifestyle of the racing. My dad raced boats. My dad raced cars. My dad raced motorcycles. It was like going to see my dad was like going to Disney, where my mom and my stepdad were like, you got to work. You want something, you got to work it. Like my first bicycle, I took the training wheels off when I was 5 years old, or when I learned to ride it. That bicycle I had till I was 13. Everybody else in the neighborhood was getting brand new BMX bikes when Huppies were, I had to make my own BMX bike, or my mom wouldn't let my dad give me my motorcycle. So I was working. I bought motorcycles for my dad. My mom's like, you're going to earn, you're going to work. So I got taught by probably my stepdad, if you want something, you got to earn it. You got to go to work. So with that being said, I was working at a dog kennel doing construction. I think I made $25 a week. I wanted an XR75, and my neighbor had one, and I would give him $25 a week to work on this thing, and eventually I would get my parts from my dad because I wanted to ride this so bad. And, my dad I did buy a CT70 from my dad, probably for a couple of $100. I saved and saved and saved. But it was always kind of a struggle for me when on Christmas kids were getting brand new race bikes and dirt bikes, and I had a hand-me-down. I had whatever I put together as a 12, 13, 14-year-old. So work was the drive. And if you want something, you have to earn it, you have to go after it. Nobody was going to give me anything. But I had dreams, and I had the will. As a teenager, my dad did take me some races, but I was barely competitive as a 14 because I didn't have what I needed. I can remember my dad at the shop, and Pop Ferry, he raced three-wheelers, and I didn't have, my dad had a picture of Pop Ferry up there, and I guess he bought parts from my dad up there at the shop. So I've known the Ferry family, Timmy, Teresa, everybody for so long, Misty. So when I was 16, I quit school because I had to work. I thought making $300 a week was the best thing ever. I was buying cars. I was buying trucks. I was buying things. I didn't have a driver's license, but I wanted to better myself. I wanted what the next guy had. My passion for racing. My dad took me out of Sunday school one time, and in 1975, I got to see my first outdoor national at Hyatt Cycle Park in Hialeah, Florida. And I got to see, as I read about in Cycle News, my dad would give me old Cycle News, and I would run around the house with a pair of handlebars and think I was racing those guys, and I just had a burning passion to ride a dirt bike, to race a dirt bike. And, my mom put me in the Marines when I was 17. I think that was a deciding factor. A lot of my friends got in trouble. They were going to jail. My mom's like, you're going to the Marines. So my dad had my dirt bikes. He sold them. I go in the Marines, and the first thing I do when I come out is I buy a dirt bike. I bought it for my dad, and I start racing. I start working. I start pouring concrete. And I was living with Willie Manning, my cousin, and he eventually did WMR racing with Skinner, Gerke, and those guys. And he took those guys to win titles out of Red Lens. And I can remember and Timmy Ferry was on a 60. We're out by the airport riding, out of a place called Belvedere, 45th Street. And I became great friends with a local pro named Dougie Longwell, and he kind of took me under his wing. So between pouring concrete, I was living the dream. I was 21. I got a dirt bike. I got a job making $500 or $600 a week, and I'm racing dirt bikes. And that's all I wanted to do: gym, dirt bikes, and just fulfill my dream. You know, of course, that comes with, you know, I broke my leg.
Oh, no, you're good. Sorry. Sorry.
So I end up when I'm 24. I had a broke leg, tibia and fibia. I had a bunch of girls that were coming by, taking me to the beach and just hanging out with me because we go like hang out, like put a trophy on the handlebars and drive around town and be like, yeah, I got a trophy. Check this out. You know, I was down at the stadium doing, you know, down in Fort Lauderdale or Hollywood Sportatorium or doing crazy stuff. So I will tell you a story though. I went to a track called Diamondback, but it was in Cocoa Beach. It was rough track, crazy. And Misty Ferry did remind me that I was throwing food at somebody, and I was riding a B class. I was throwing food at somebody, and Teresa, you're on here, you will remember. And Misty told me last year we were watching a race or something. She goes, "Remember my mom wouldn't talk to you for 2 weeks? You embarrassed us. We're in Quincy." And I go, "Well, who was I throwing food at?" She said, "You were throwing food at Ricky Carmichael. He was on a 60." And I didn't remember that, but I told Ricky later. I did message him. I go, I remember. I mean, I don't remember, but I was throwing food at you because he was like a little hot rod on a 60 running around. And I'm like, saw him sitting at the table, and I'm like, okay, that's something I would do. Throw a piece of corn at him or throw some peas at him or something. But just dumb stuff like that we did to have fun and memories. So I speed up. I get married. My wife had 2 kids. They were 6 and 4. And I didn't have my daughters yet. And I wanted to build a bit. I was making $15 an hour pouring concrete, racing my dirt bike. So now I meet this lady. She has 2 kids, and I need to make real money. If I'm going to have a family, I got to make real money. So I remember I walked to everybody on the job, and I said, "There's something out there for me. I got to go." And they're like, "You'll be back in 3 weeks. There is a profession out there. You're going to be back." And I'm like, "I'm not coming back." Lord, did I know how hard it was going to be, but there was a recession, like there was buildings half built, projects just abandoned. And every day I got up, I went and put a business card anywhere I saw any construction. I put a business card out because I got 2 kids. I want to buy a house, freshly married, and I got to make money. So I start this business, and I remember telling a guy, I mean, if you made $600 a week in 1988, I remember Jesse Taylor, I told him, I said, "I need to make this much money a day. I'll work for you from dark to dark. As long as I got $600 on Friday, I can carry on and I can make things happen." And I remember working for that guy till my fingers bled. And guys would take off at 3 o'clock after 8 hours, and I would work 14 from dark to dark just because I knew I had a family now. And I knew I had to work hard if I wanted to have my goal. And I remember my fingers swelling and bleeding from pouring concrete all day long. And things got better. Like, I'll speed it up a little bit. That was when I was 24. I took on a family. So I went from this guy running around, having a good time, racing. I was living the dream, I thought, but reality comes quick. Between the time of 24 and 27, I had 20 guys working for me. I went from making $600 a week because I had to drive. I took the same drive as I did racing and put in my business. And I had 20 guys working for me, and I was making $40,000 a week. I made my first $1 million in my business when I was 27. And I tried to hold that and make as much as I could. But here's what happens. 5 years, I didn't do anything but work in my business. I think I had my first daughter, and I have, there's Derek, Drew, and my stepsons, I raised everybody as one in my house. Everyone got, everybody got. I was great friends with their dad. I took him to the races. I took him everywhere. I even sent back to Ponca City one time. He'd come Loretta's. I mean, he was a trooper. So that's another story. So fast forward, I got a daughter named Taylor, and the promoter that I used to work for, his name was ride for when I was younger, was Pete Scalzo. Well, over at the fairgrounds, he started a track. And my dad gives me 2 bikes a couple early. It was like a Kawasaki 80, and there was like a Honda 50 sitting in my shed for like a year. But I was working so hard, and I was like, I don't know about getting these kids in a racing. Well, they're playing football, and now they're 10 and 8. So some things have happened, and they're at the football field on Saturdays. The next thing you know, Scalzo's got a racetrack a mile from my house. So we go over there and watch. Okay, we watch. Next thing you know, I come home and go, I'm buying a dirt bike. So I bought a dirt bike from a guy at the gas station, had one for sale, happened to have one for sale. And then I got Drew rode a Z50 and Derek rode a KX60. And we started over there. And, I remember Tim Ferry coming home, and he had just turned Rookie of the Year. I think it was 92. And he was there. And when he rode the track, you could hear a pin drop because he's like our local hero. He had finally grown up, and I think he was running for RP, and he was Rookie of the Year, 92 or 93. And it was just amazing that he had showed up. He happened to be home. And now this promoter I got is racing. So then I got the bug. I'm wide open after that. I'm pouring concrete. Next thing you know, we got to go Loretta Lynn's. And my kids can't ride a dirt bike at all. I got cones out there. We're trying to figure it out. There's no way. So we start racing the South Florida Series, and I meet Brian John. I meet Colleen Millsaps and Davies on a 50. And so you start meeting people, and that's what you do at the races now. You meet people. Like, I believe families that race, and when you meet people, you just grow and steamroll into another family. So I met little Brian, big Brian. I met Colleen. There's Davey, and we're at Lewiston racing this track. So then they're like, hey, come to Buffalo. Hey, come here. Hey, we're going here. We're doing this or that. And next thing you know, you turn into a gypsy. You're working 7 days a week. You're buying new bikes. And next thing you know, you're on your way to the Texas to go. I remember old house knocking on my door. I need a barrel of water. I'm going to Texas. I'm going to Lake Whitney. So I took those 2 guys, and for 15 years, we made Loretta Lynn's 15 every year. There was 20 Loretta Lynn's bibs hanging. I mean, from Pee-wee or beginners, they went all the way to racing Supercross, Arena Cross, some outdoor nationals, box fan, motorhome, the whole 9 yards. If you guys race, and you know what I'm talking about. I was all in. There's 20 Loretta Lynn's bids hanging in my garage, some with single-digit numbers. And I believe it was Oscar Diaz came in my garage, and he was looking, and he was from Costa Rica. And he goes, I want to race Supercross. And I'm like, wow, you just come to America, you ride Supercross, you're only like 15 years old. And he looked at the bibs, and I go, each one of those bibs costs $100,000. He's like, what do you mean? I said, because that's what you have to put into this sport in 1 year to try to chase to even qualify for Loretta Lynn's. They were hanging all around. There was 20 of them or something. And, with 2 boys racing at that level, it was costing a lot of money. Motorhome, box fan, fun mover, 9 bikes. Funny, Ronnie Renner brought a guy over from California. I was in at a little arena cross in Ocala, and he goes, hey, I brought this kid from California. He goes, he wants to work for somebody. I brought him home, 9 bikes to work on. We got to go here, we got to go there. And that guy happened to be Alex Ewing. Well, Jimmy Wilson was coming to my house, and they were all riding together. And he was a pro. He did Supercross and Outdoor Nationals. And Jimmy's like, I need a mechanic. I go, take Alex. I go, he's been here for a year. He's good. He'll do anything you want. But me inspiring Alex and taking him on my wing, Alex actually left Jimmy and went and worked for Josh Grant, and they won Supercross together at Anaheim. And then Alex went on to work for Paul Carpenter, Factory Kawasaki, and he retired working for Kevin Wendell. So I was taking my guys to Amateur Day, Steel City, no longer, Morgantown or Budds Creek when you go to High Point, and Alex was working for Kevin Wendell. And Alex would look at me and he goes, I owe you something. He goes, you took me in. I was rather homeless. And you helped me get to where I wanted to go and fulfill my goal. So I like to give back. I like to give opportunity. I like to give back because my business was good to me. I had my stepsons racing all over the place. I gave them another mechanic. They went to California. I believe Eddie Ray went with them. And they it's next level now with Jessica Patterson. And they were doing Supercross and then GFIs on Sunday. So they're over there racing. They got a box fan. Derek's 18. Drew's 16. No, Derek's 16 doing Supercross. And Drew's like 15 racing to 14. And he's already riding schoolboy and A-class with like Ryan Hughes, Craig Decker, all the guys that just retired from Supercross. So hands are full there. But Derek stayed in it for a little bit longer, racing Supercross and racing some outdoors and arena cross. And Drew retired. Drew woed up on me and he's going to go to Hangtown. And he was riding for Yamaha BSY, which is no longer up in Cocoa Beach. You either rode with Thousand Oaks or you rode for BSY. There was no NSA Yamaha. That was who you were. That's who you rode for. And Yamaha only had like 7 guys. And they were East Coast guys and West Coast guys. And they brought them up through the feeder system. And that's how you went at it. So he called me one day and he's like, I'm done. I'm like, what do you mean I'm done? He goes, I'm not going to Hangtown. Got a better plan. And I was like, what do you mean you got a better plan? He goes, I'm retiring. He's like 18 years old, and he hasn't even tipped into his pro career yet. And he's like, I'm done. And I like almost fell down. Like for 3 months, I drove around looking through my windshield, like what just happened in this whole thing. And I had to call Mitch, because Mitch gave him pipes and all the goodies for his bikes. And I had to call Yamaha, which had a great bonus program and bikes and parts and all that good stuff. And I was getting Chad Reed's takeoffs sent to the house. That's when Chad Reed was hot. I get wheels, subframe radiators, I get frames, I get all kinds of good stuff. And I had to call everybody and say, he's done. And the thing of it is, he had a dream too, and everything that he learned from racing, he was working with, he had bought a skid steer and was working on his own track. And I was getting some side work and then training and racing and traveling. He had a desire. Like we went to GNC and he's like, pull over here. And he's like 16. He's like, I want to buy that trailer over there and put my skid steer on. And he has his own money. He was making money, like mailbox money. I mean, he would make, whatever pro money he could make. And he was making probably $2,000 a week, Yamaha contingency money. I mean, the guy had cash. If he wanted to buy something, he bought it at 16 years old. And he had a dream and I didn't see it. And he has probably one of the largest, he does footings for high-end clients, equestrian clients. And he lives in a 1,000 square foot house. I didn't see it, but he saw it. He told me, he's like, I've been racing James Stewart and those guys since I've been on a 60. He goes, if I can't be number 1 or number 2 or number 3, I don't know if I can make the money that I want. He sees his brother out there still trying to make main events and do certain things. And he's like, I don't want to be that guy until I'm 25, So he started his own business and he built a multi-million dollar business. And he kids his brother because his brother kept racing. Like I was announcing arena cross and this guy is doing his thing. And Derek's racing, and he goes, I got a few more $1 million of Derek because he stayed in it longer. So They retired, but they took everything they learned from racing, their tools, the way their house is, the way they run their businesses, is all from racing, having their bikes properly maintained, being on time, traveling 20 hours, leaving on a Wednesday night to get to a race in Texas so you can be there by Friday morning just for a weekend shootout and be back home by, nonstop, leave Sunday and try to be home by Monday night. It teaches these kids something. And like I try to tell kids, whether you become a professional racer like a Dungey or a Ferry or a Villapoto, take these tools that you're learning with your education and use them in your normal daily life. I mean, Mashburn is a pilot now. There's so many kids that I know that didn't make it, but are doing great things. Well, one kid, Malay, he flies for Delta, could never make a Loretta Lynn's. His parents took him every year. And it was a struggle as an alternate. This guy flies Delta. So you have to not say, well, I'm not a loser because I didn't make it and be one of the stars. But you take these tools and you use them. Like I took the tools. I wasn't going to be no great pro, but I love to race statewide, A and B and pro, whatever. And I took those tools with my passion and I created a family. And I created a family and gave them what I wanted and passion. And they build great businesses from it. So motocross has been good to us. I was about done, and I was out watching somebody at Thundercross, and Dean Diaz, Little Dean's dad, says, "Hey, I need an announcer. You think you could help me out?" I go, "Well, I'm kind of hungry. Can you give me a bologna sandwich?" So my kids are retired, or Gary's still dabbling with a little bit with arena cross, and I announce a race. But Jersey Joe happened to be out there, and all I did was mimic every announcer that I heard. I heard Herb Braun. I heard all these great, Ben Nickerson, this guy.
Dean Nickerson, yes.
What's that?
Dean Nickerson, that takes me back.
Len Nickerson.
Yeah.
It's like guys out in Texas, and there Len Nickerson was an announcer. And I took all these guys that I've been hearing my whole life. And the last years I took my kids, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just get out there and blow this thing out. But I'm not only going to talk about the top 3 guys. I'm going to talk about every kid out there because I basically knew them, And I just mimicked and had a great time with it and thought this is how I would want to hear my kid announce. So Jersey Joe tells Jeff Cernick, and I believe Derek was going to ride Pro Sport at Loretta's in like 2004 or 5, and we were at a regional, and Rita said, "I want you to call this pro class. I just want to hear. I've been hearing much about it." But I knew all the kids too because we've been racing with them. So I called it, and next thing you know, Rita's like, "Hey, you want to announce Loretta's?" And I'm like, "Sure." I didn't have Loretta's for 20 years. I guess I'll go up there and call some races. So I walk in there, first time, there's Kevin Kelly, there's Jason Wygant, there's Rodney Tomlin, and here we go. And we just had a blast. And did I get paid? Absolutely not. I had to take off and go to the gate with Derek and do this or that. I think he finished 13th or something that year, and that was it. He was done, and he was going on and doing other things. So it took off from there. And Kevin Kelly remembers announcing my kids at Hillbilly Hills and so forth in Bremen, and I really didn't know Kevin then. And he was young, and I'm like, "Hey, you know what? We've been in the same circle." Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, I remember announcing your kids. I know who they are." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really remember you, but hey, we're bonding. We got this." So we do that for a year. Next year, Shane Schaefer, my kid, and a bunch of people moved over from Clear Channel. My kid wanted to start his own arena cross called Book Arena Cross. And I think it was 2006 and 7. He walks in there and goes, "Hey," looks at me, looks at Kevin, and goes, "Y'all guys want to announce arena cross?" I look at Kevin, I'm like, "Let's fake it till we make it." "Sure. Yeah, we're good. We can do this." I've never been so scared in my life. Next plane ticket, I was in Fort Worth, Texas, and they're like, "Let's go eat. We got to do this at a meeting at 5 o'clock. You're going to be standing here. The light's going to come on. This is going to happen, and this and that." And when the light came on, all I did, I started my famous welcome race fans. And I knew the riders. Bowers was there. Darcy Lanes was there. I knew these guys, so it was easy. Casey Henson was there. He's like 17 years old, which see him all the time. I just saw him at Cal Classic. So now all these guys are retired now. Fitch was 16 years old when I first met old man Fitch racing arena cross. Now I see him. He trains at MTF now with his kid, and it's just everything is just steamrolling now. So then I announced that for 2 years, and your goal is people are like, well, you should announce Supercross. You should do this and that. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And meanwhile, there was a rift between Feld and my kid, and Clear Channel became Feld Entertainment. So I was on a no-go list. I'm on a no-fly list. We're not hiring you. So I'm doing, Sean Martin brings me out. I do Lake Whitney. Odenburg brings me, this is before Moto Playground took over all those races. Odenburg brings me out. Craig Martin brings me out. I'm doing Oak Hill because you did Whitney, then you did Oak Hill. And then I'm doing, a couple years later, Pat calls me, I believe 2009. And he's like, hey, yo, you want to come to the brawl? So I guess the years I did arena cross, I built credibility. And I'm doing a lot of amateur races now. I'm at Loretta Lynn's. It's wide open. We're going. And I'm like, and my cousin Willie remembers when we were kids, and he goes, Wes Kain, I would have never imagined that you're going to get to do what you're doing now. Like when we were riding RM125s and we're chasing, little Tim Ferry's on a 60 and big Pops over there and the big yellow and white truck, that I'm going to get to do this. I get the opportunity to do the crazy stuff. And still working a business, flying out on weekends. We get a TV show, Vanilla Ice Project. I'm out at Lake Whitney. Rob's like, hey, where are you at? I just did a walkthrough on a house. We're going to do a TV show. So now things are really getting crazy like 2008, 2009. Then I get a call. Feld Entertainment. They want me to do arena cross. I'm like, this is big time now. I'll do arena cross, film a TV show. I'm doing every amateur national there is. I'm doing Ponca. I'm doing Baja Bra. I'm doing 2 weeks in Texas. I'm doing mini O's. I haven't never stopped doing mini O's. So now I've really got a lot of weight on my shoulders. I'm like, I got to handle this because I got passion in my heart. And I just got to keep doing what's being put in front of me. Film, lead the set, get the last flight out, take my clothes, change at the airport. I'm living out of a laundry basket in my car, and I put my bag, and I'm doing an arena cross tour. And I got to take the red eye back because I got to be on set. No matter where I go on a weekend, I got to be on set to film this Vanilla Ice Project Season 1. And this was 2009. We started that at 7 a.m. I got to be there. Rob's like, you can go do all that because he's a moto guy. Ice, Vanilla Ice. He's like, but you got to be here. We got obligation. We got to do this TV show. So I do that. Show's success. We filmed for 4 months, Season 1, and we get picked up again. And then we're filming Season 2, and then Monster Cup opportunities come. They want to start the Monster Cup. So it's actually US Open that leaves the MGM and goes to Sam Boyd. So I remember telling him, like, hey, I got to take off this weekend. I got to do Monster Cup because you can't leave. We got to film all the stuff. I go, we're almost done filming Season 2. I said, but if I don't do that, I won't get Arena Cross. And Arena Cross will go from January till May. And I said, and he looked at me and he goes, okay, go. So everything's a go. I'm wide open. I'm traveling, I'm flying, I'm living at hotels, I'm living at airports, and I just got this big ball of wax on me. I'm pouring concrete. I've still got a side business. I'm filming a TV show. And I have to think about how blessed I am during all this crazy stuff because it all comes from a guy that just wanted to ride a dirt bike. And I had so much passion. So all that comes in with, I like to give back. Like there's people that'll call me, hey, can you call Rob Fox? I need Dunlop tires, or this or that, or BP Fuel, or Monster. It's all evolved where I want to give and help people. If I can make a phone call and connect the dots, and let's say Eddie Ray, for instance, he gave 2 bump boxes away, him and GR Speedway. He took the bump boxes and he made awards for them. So he just called Bump Box, and I worked a deal with him. He's going to have a summer series for Moto at Next Level with Daniel Blair's there and Jessica Patterson. He's going to give away 19 bump boxes, class champions, with, you're going to have a radio, you're going to have a boom box as an award. And I put that together with him, and it's just a testament of I love to give back. I think giving, not hand out, hands up. I want to bring people up with me. Is there anything I can do? I do my best to make it happen. I just know so many people. Yeah, I can call Mitch Pate. I can call Bobby Regan. I can call this one and that one. I don't like abusing what I can do, but if it's sincerely, I can help you in some kind of way, I believe that's the way I have to give back. Through all this stuff, I grew up in Green Acres. Like I said, when I was 16, my mom signed me up in the Marines when I was 17, and all my friends got in trouble, went to prison. A lot of bad things were going on. But working and my dirt bike and the Marines were probably the most instrumental thing to being who I am now and being having a family so early. There's the mayor got to know me, and he introduced me to the aftercare where kids go to the community center, elementary school all the way through seniors, and they help them do their homework, and maybe the neighborhood's not so good. Parents want to be able to go there, pick them up, and take them home, not at home idle. Well, he took me there, and I seen all these kids, and there's some of them might have a little trouble with, been in trouble. And I'm like, man, I got to talk to these kids and tell them my story a little bit. So it was pretty funny. I have tattoos, and these kids, they don't know the lifestyle of moto or whatever, the flat bill hat. They think I'm some gangster or some wannabe. So I go, hey, I'm Wes Kain. I do a TV show in Vanilla Ice. I go, how many people think I've been in jail? And they all raise their hand. I'm like, I've never been in jail. I made good choices when I was younger, and that gives me the opportunity to do what I'm doing now. If I made bad choices, I wouldn't be able to do nothing. I wouldn't be able to be on a TV show. I wouldn't have been able to work for Feld Entertainment. I wouldn't have been able to do what I get to do. I got a high-level security clearance. I can go to a fuel depot and work around the fuel tanks. I can go to an airport. I have a TWIC card where I can actually work on the runway. If I would have made a bad choice as a 15, 16, 17-year-old, that would be haunting me now. I would be able to be who I am or what I'm doing. So I try to strive and teach the kids, make good choices, make strong choices, make sure they're good choices. And there was one kid over there, they pointed him out and they said, hey, he's been in trouble, doing some illegal drugs and stuff. And he's like in 10th grade. So I pulled him aside. I'm like, hey, heard you've been getting in trouble. You don't want to mess your life up. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to stay away from your friends for 3 weeks. Promise me you'll stay away. And I would call his mom and kind of check in on him. Promise me, because you're gonna get in trouble. It's gonna be bad. So I didn't go back to the community center for a whole month. And I went and check in. I go over there, and he's behind the glass checking IDs. And he's got a shirt on that says community center with a badge. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, Wes, everything you said was right. I stayed away from my friends. They got caught. They had to go to the juvenile center, and they had to spend 3 months in detention center. He goes, I saw it. And I go, you did good. You made the right choice. You stayed out of trouble, and now you saw it. So I had to pull him out so he could look in. While he's in it, he don't see it. So I told the mayor, if we could save one kid like that, it's worth it. So I go back over there and I give them computers. I buy them book bags, pencils, erasers, rulers, and I want to inspire them to do good, to set an example. And I told that young man there, I said, now these other kids are going to look up to you. So you have to be a mentor to them because they're looking at you and you've made the change. You're not a bad guy. You're not out there trying to be a gangbanger and you're over here because mom says you get in trouble after school. You're a leader. And that right there made me like, okay, this is what you're here for. You know, quick instance, Pop Ferry. When Timmy was just turned pro, they did everything they could, the Ferries did, to keep Timmy racing. When Loretta Lynn's come, I'd go over to the house, and their house wasn't very big. It was 2-bedroom, and there was Grandma was there, Timmy, Misty, Pop, Teresa. So there's 5 of them living in the house, and it was very, very small. And the lights would be off. Why is the lights off? We're going to Loretta Lynn's. We got to have all the money we can to pay when we get back. Well, we'd all chip in. We'd go get cube steak. And I remember, Pop, we're going to Albertsons. Let's cook some just dumb stuff like that. But Pop come to me and he says, hey, I'm driving a forklift over at Cycles of Palm Beach, and I'm not making that much money. Timmy's on his own now. And he goes, I can't make it driving this forklift. I said, Pop, get a concrete pump. And I had 2 of them. He goes, concrete pump? I said, yeah, you can make, the minimum, I think it was $275 an hour travel. I said, you can start making like $300 a day, $400 a day. If you do 2 jobs, you can make a little more, $600 a day. He says, really? So he got one. He goes, I don't know nothing about it. But he knew how to work equipment because he worked for a company called Belvedere Construction. So Pop knew how to operate, backhoes and stuff like that. I said, Pop, in 3 weeks, you're going to know everything you need to know about pumping concrete. Everything's going to happen to you. It's going to break down. It's going to jam. Something's going to happen. This is going to be bad. But you're going to have good days, and you're going to learn. And you know what? He did it. And he's still in business now. And he thanks me. I think he took me to Outback. Him and Teresa took me to Outback one night. And they got out of that house. And they got a big, beautiful home now out in Royal Palm with a pool. And they're able to take care of their grandbabies and stuff. Do I want a pat on the back? Absolutely not. But I wanted to help him. He asked me. And I don't see no competition, whether I had the same equipment or not. I wanted him to be in business. So it all goes back to sharing, helping each other. And it all comes back from being a moto. You can race your competition, but I guarantee you, if that competition has a flat tire on the side of the road and you're a moto guy, you're going to stop and help that guy out. And you're probably going to become the best friends ever. And you probably didn't even want to talk to each other at the track because you're like, oh, he got first, I got second. He might be running a cheater motor, I don't. But it happens. And if you're sitting there and you're a moto, you know what I'm talking about. So I believe in helping and giving. So fast forward, I'm doing arena cross again. I get to do all the amateur races. I was just at Cal Classic with Myron Short and his guys. We got Ponca coming up, Moto Playground. Harold has a ball that took me under his wing. So we got a lot of Moto Playground races. Josh Woods, who, when he was a kid and my kids were racing, I saw Josh Woods every weekend. Wherever we went, Englishtown, this race, that race, Josh Woods. And now I work for Josh Woods. I do the Dash for Cash on track. We do that race before many O's. So everything is full circle. I've never left the spin. It's still been doing Baja Bra for since 2009. Many O's, Win Kern and them. Always there with those guys. Win knew my kids when they were racing. He used to have performance engineering, and he just adopted me into announcing. So I just get a lot of great opportunities. But one thing I do want to reiterate, make good choices. Never fear the unknown, but make sure you think your choice through, because I made avenues that I can think, wow, I was lucky I didn't make that choice because I wouldn't be here now. So I am very fortunate, very blessed. I get to be an ambassador for Monster Energy, an ambassador for BP Racing Fuels, an ambassador for Boombox, Bumpbox, Rockwell Watches, so many good things. And I started racing cars, and I do have 3 race cars now. I got a Pro Truck, Asphalt. I just came back from Carolina, and I got a great family up there, the Guthries, and I have my cars up there, and I'm really just get to do a lot of stuff, and I feel blessed that I get to. So
That is amazing. So I take notes during these things because I'm a note taker, and this is my page today. It's pretty full of things that I get to share, with our team, Wes. And as long as I've known you, what really stands out to me is that everything I felt in my heart about you as an individual and as a person, you walk the talk and you talk the walk. You are like very, very genuine. And the messages that you say about whether or not you become pro, the tools that, and I say this also, I know that the students in these are not always about On Track. This is about messages for anybody who wants to join us and anybody on YouTube that watches this. The work ethic that you put into life, my mom always taught me what you put in is what you're going to get out. But our moto community is so special. Like in 2003 or whatever it was, when Dawn said to me, "You're going to have to homeschool our kids." And I said, "Over my dead body, I'm not homeschooling anybody." Right? In this arena is the only place this would have really taken off like this, because you also said this: families steamroll into other families and we're all connected. And I think there's just so many important things that you said that I don't want to take away from our audience, because I know that some of our kids want to come off the mic and they're probably dying to ask you a question. But I just want to thank you for sharing all that, because there's mounds of lessons in all of that and the work ethic that you've done. And, we'd be honored to talk to you one day about being an ambassador for us, because you are a spitting image of the passion that, we're teaching our kids to never let go of. So at this point, I want to ask anybody out there if they'd like to either type in the chat a question, because we have a few minutes left. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and just come off the mic and ask a question. So who would like to ask Wes a question? Vanessa, go right ahead.
Hi, Wes. I hope you're doing well. What person in the motocross industry had the biggest impact on your career now?
Good question. That's an On Track graduate right there.
biggest person. Well, when I was running around and I got to meet my hero, was Ricky Johnson. We all thought if we rode in the 80s, we wanted to be like Ricky Johnson. He was just the coolest guy before McGrath. And we actually hung out at Miami Supercross. And he handed me his Walkman, and we were listening to music together. And we became friends. And we had opportunity together a couple times. And me and that guy stayed parallel together through his whole career. I did off-the-truck Torque, off-road truck racing series. Mitch Covington got me into that for a couple years. And Rick Johnson has probably been a great, mentor to me. I call him, we talk all the time. And, he told me one time I was going through some hard times. He said, "Never believe what you see on the internet." He goes, "Walk your path and keep doing what you do." And of course, my best friend, I met Rob Vanilla Ice back in about the same time in the 80s. And me and him sit really talk some serious stuff sometime about life and about the roller coaster it can be, and about staying humble and walk your own path and be your own man. And so to actually have, two people from spectrums to really inspire me, to keep me, me and Ice go to the Children's Hospital on Christmas Eve with terminally ill, and we take toys and stuff. And first time in there, like crying, and he's like, because I got a family. He's like, "Get in here. You're on TV now. These kids watch you on TV. You got to give them hope. You got to give them a smile."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Once I got that perspective, then easy. But yeah, those are probably two people right there in my life that, besides my family and certain things, of course, really Manning in my corner my whole life, that gave me guidance to be able to do what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Sorry, Vanessa, great question. And it's so important to have mentors like that. So thanks for sharing that. I know we've got another hand up. Go for it. I think you've got a question. We can't hear you. And it says
Sorry about that.
Samsung. There you go. There you go.
What's going on, Wes?
Hey, love the shirt, man. Good deal. That's
Oh
the
yeah, you know how to show it off, man. Come on now, you know we show you so much love. I do have one question I've never asked you over the years. We've always talked and hung out. What is your biggest accolade you think you accomplished in your whole life that you're proud of, that you can say, I did that and I can be that?
raising my kids. My buddies would come over to the house and they would say, this guy did that, this guy did that, this guy did that. He could drink enough to float a battleship. My job was do as I say, not as I did. And our job as parents is, number one, education, and keep our kids out of trouble and keep them alive. Because times have changed. There's no dirt roads to go burning out in and no fields to have fun in. Times are different. So one of the biggest things in my life that I can say is my daughters are great. They've never been in trouble. They are very professional. The boys, even though they're my stepsons, I raised them as my own. And even with their father, he would come over. I mean, I wanted everybody to get along and just have that good stuff. So I'd say the kids being successful is me and their mother. I can't take the whole credit, but it takes a unit to keep kids raised and out of trouble, where they can be in their 30s and 40s, like Andrea Michael Lee, for one, successful. You gotta be pumped about that. You guys have done a great job. Jordan Renfro, he's a soldier. I got my eye on him. Like back in the back of it, I'm watching Jordan. But if I could give Jordan some advice, but it's got to be your kids. Money comes and goes. I made $1 million, lost $1 million. Who cares? And that's what we want to do when we're younger. We want to have the American dream. We want to buy a house when we're 25. We want to have it paid for when we're 40. We want the cars we want. We want the trucks. We want to travel. It's your kids. I don't care if you live in a cardboard box. If you're my age now and your kids are successful and they don't have any addictions and they're smart and you've done your job, and that's all I can say. You've done your job as a mom and dad. So that's the biggest accolade I got.
Oh, look at that.
Can I say another West real quick? Remember? Yeah, West.
Hey.
You wanted to come say goodnight to you real quick. First, you went to bed.
Okay, y'all be safe. Be good.
Good night.
Hey.
Hey.
All right, sweetie. Yeah, go get some sleep.
Good night.
I'll see you in a minute. Go ahead, sweetie.
Wes, I agree with you 1000%. In the end, the legacy is what have we left behind? All the toys and all that don't really matter. It's the legacy that lives on through our kids and the lessons that we've taught them. I agree.
Well, there's a writer, and I'll even say his name. He's a little writer out of Massachusetts, and it's Lorenzo Alves. And I was at a reading cross in Albany, and his dad was just screaming at him and wild and woolly, and he couldn't get over the finish line. It was like 6,000 people cheering and boop and whatever. I didn't approach him then. I approached him the next day. It was amateur day, and I said, "Hey, behind the gate." It was practice. I said, "Why are you yelling at your kid?" He goes, "Oh, Lorenzo, he couldn't get over that, blah, 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 blah." So I gave him high speed of how I wasn't very good. I was pretty rough on my guys. And I think as a dad, you have to find a fine line of being a coach and a trainer. You have to. And at the races is not the right time you take notes and you fix it during the week. You're not going to fix it when a kid is trying to get over that finish line and he wants to do the best for you and he's 8 years old and it's just not going to work. And you know what I told him? I said, here's what I want you to do. You're supposed to be your kid's hero. I said, I want you to cheer him on, not shake your fist and yell at him when he comes by the rest of the day. I want you to cheer him on. I said, that's your son. And no matter what happens in the sport, he's going to be your son. You have to look at him at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, when he has a family, and you're going to regret how you're treating them. I said, right now, your wife, the baby in a stroller, your daughter, and you and him are in an F-250 traveling everywhere. You're from Massachusetts, you're in Oklahoma. I said, you keep doing what you're doing, and they're going to fall off. And it's going to be you and that kid, Lorenzo, and then pretty soon he's not going to race no more because you're a ding dong. And you know what he did? He did exactly what I said. He stopped, he cheered that kid on, and he came up to me, all 250-pound of man, and crying, gave me a hug.
Oh.
And I got you. I saw it. And me and that guy, we talked all the time, and I said, you're your son's hero. You're his dad. Be his hero. Heroes don't attack the ones that love them. And if I can get that message to every peewee or whoever's screaming and throwing stuff around, that's my job. That's what I got to do now. Because you got to love them. You got to love your family. And my boys are 40 and 38 now, and I still apologize to them because of dumb stuff I did, throwing the bikes in the trailer, leaving the races early, hollering and hooting and being a dummy. I still apologize to them because I was not the best. But I'm going to help make a difference.
I love it. We could have a mini bike dad class together at On Track School.
We can do that because I'm telling you, we're, as parents, are supposed to look up to us.
Totally.
And it's just like any sport. You know, a good friend of mine, Ryan Lockey, he got in that trouble. He's an Olympic swimmer. We're good friends with him. His parents are the ones that took him when he was 5 years old or 4 years old to the pool. And he became this Olympic swimmer.
Right.
But he got out of his parents' eyesight, he got in trouble. And he got crazy. So you got to let your kid be a kid. Justin Marshall's mom told me one time, he wants to get crazy and ride wheelies and ride a skateboard and do all this stuff. What do I do with him, Wes? I said, let him do it. Let him have fun. He's a kid. He can go fast on a dirt bike. He can still ride a BMX bike. He can still jump a golf cart. Who cares? Let him do what he wants. But keep him safe and teach him. But let him be a kid.
Yeah, it's interesting to look back years later with the wisdom and the balance. I know our family went through it. Hey, listen, we've gone to counseling 4 or 5 times. That's why Don and I are married 40 years. And my son and my husband have a relationship. To me, that's priceless. So yes, I think those lessons they go a long way. And it's yeah, I love it. I love it, Wes. Well, we're gonna close up shop here. I want to make sure there aren't any other questions out there for Wes. You have an opportunity here, but Wes, I want to thank you so much. This was so good. I think this was one of my favorite On Track Presents, just hearing you tell your story and just knowing more about you. I'm honored to know you, and our sport, our families are so blessed to have you. We really are.
I'm blessed to be a part of On Track Schooling because education is you can't be a good bike rider if you're a dummy. I mean, you got this, it's going to help you through life. You got to get educated. So I still want to check in college courses with you. I would love to get a 2-year degree just to have that on my resume.
Okay. Hey, I'll send you a link and you can set up a little time with me and we'll get you registered.
I would love, that's one thing. People ask me about regrets and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I got my GED, but I could have stayed one more year. Like, I signed out of school 11th and a half grade, and they told me, stay, get these credits. You might want to come back. I said, I'm not coming back. I'm going to make money. And eventually I did end up in the Marines a year later, but I do regret not walking and graduating from high school.
Would you like to do that at Loretta Lynn's?
And I think if I got a 2-year degree and you let me walk on a stage at Loretta's, that would be amazing.
Hey, guess who might be a classmate?
Who?
Guess who you might be walking with if he gets it done on time?
Who?
RJ.
Jay Hampshire?
No, Ricky Johnson.
Oh no.
Yeah, he signed up. So, you know, every year it's my goal to talk to a pro who has a regret like that. So, I mean, we did, Jeff Emick was the very first to take that initiative, and then Ricky Carmichael, and now RJ, and now you. I'm so excited.
Well, I did a 2-year degree.
We'll talk. Let's talk. We can talk about that.
How about liberal arts?
Liberal arts is good.
I think that'd be great. Slow Ricky down. I would love that. Would really be amazing if me and that dude high-fived each other and graduated.
Talk about passion and dreams. But listen, thank you so much. Let's connect next week. You know where to find me. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight to this really amazing On Track Presents with Wes Kain. We appreciate you, Wes. Thank you.
Much love.
Family.
Bye.
Bye.